Extrasensory perception for analytical minds. Recently, I wrote about the benefits of remote viewing practice for people with artistic and creative inclinations as a method for gaining new inspirations and intuitive insights. As a very logical and analytical person, I prefer combining intuition, the right brain humanistic approach, with what is based on hard analysis and logic. When dealing with topics of extrasensory perception, we often encounter healthy skepticism, and the question, is what we're doing measurable and certain in some way? Unlike other extrasensory perception techniques, the answer is yes. It is measurable, and it is objectively certain that the source of knowledge is not guesswork by the people conducting sessions using this method. This is demonstrated by practice itself and countless experiments we have conducted so far. New people participating in the remote viewing learning process, by taking part in a series of sessions, are able to empirically experience the objectivity of the remote viewing method firsthand. We must remember that in scientific research, one experiment does not make statistics. Therefore, the true assessment and proof comes from participation in a series of experiments and RV sessions that we regularly conduct with new students so they can go through the entire process and make sure of the objective effectiveness, which results not so much from individual sessions, but from the hugely accurate statistics of experiments over a longer period. Most sessions, apart from the first ones which are typically a learning process, bring spectacular results. Statistically, however, from time to time a session fails. This can be influenced by many factors, mainly fatigue and indisposition of those investigating the target. Statistically, however, these are merely exceptions. Observing our sessions, which take place regularly, shows the spectacular effectiveness of this method. Objective: blind testing. What is important for the objectivity of the research, and what will probably interest more skeptical people, is the fact that remote viewing is the only extrasensory perception method that uses blind testing, which eliminates the possibility of guessing the answer by the researcher. It works like this. The person who is developing their extrasensory perception ability and participates in an RV session receives only a target identifier in the form of a sequence of numbers randomly assigned to the target, which were previously assigned to the target by the person preparing the experiment. The target is written as a short sentence or paragraph in a text document or on a piece of paper. The target description contains the mentioned identification number. The viewer during the session receives this identification number, not knowing what the target of the investigation is, not knowing the description indicating the target, contained in the secured document. Their task is to describe the target by reaching it through extrasensory perception based only on the identification number provided. During an extrasensory perception session using the remote viewing method, when the viewer begins to describe what they perceive, the person conducting and supervising the session has the task of asking neutral, clarifying questions based on the viewer's reports. If, for example, the person describes perceiving a building, the facilitator may ask them to look inside it or see what is near the building, etc. Therefore, questions are asked based on data already provided by the viewer. This allows for maintaining objectivity while increasing the effectiveness of the research. Remote viewing statistics. Practice shows the enormous effectiveness of this approach. However, to further increase the effectiveness and pool of information from experiments, which will provide valuable knowledge from our research, not one but an entire group of viewers developing this skill participate in the study, who, during the research, have no contact with each other and perform independently ongoing RV insights regarding the given target. In this way, after one session, we have material from a group of people independently investigating, blindly, a given target. None of them had contact with the others during the session and could not exchange information. None of them knew the target in advance. Each received only the target identifier. It should be added here that at the beginning of the practice and training process, we examine only physical targets in this way, the accuracy of description of which can be unambiguously confirmed. In this way, participants gain practice and trust in their abilities, objectively verifying after the session whether the description was accurate. However, this method has an additional advantage, which proves effective in more advanced sessions and experiments, when a target beyond our material reach and knowledge is being investigated. Thanks to statistics and the fact that people independently investigating a target blindly reported it in a convergent manner, we can objectively determine the fact of the existence of a given target in a given form, even if it is beyond our physical reach. And if the investigators consistently reported the given target in a specific way and their reports overlap, then it should be assumed that this target objectively has these features and properties. Remote viewing as a concrete method. Although there will always be skeptics in the world who deny phenomena beyond what they themselves want to believe, I believe that thanks to a reliable and objective approach to the topic of learning and developing extrasensory perception, we can make and are already making a huge breakthrough. Healthy skepticism is needed in an era of many far-fetched theories and erroneous interpretations of phenomena so common among people who, in the name of spiritual development, actually prefer living in a bubble of their fantasies. Extrasensory perception using the remote viewing method allows us to objectively verify given knowledge and beliefs. It allows participation in objective experimental conditions and determines what we can actually perceive through extrasensory perception when no one is suggesting the result to us. For science and knowledge about the world, and as a result, for increasing the pool of our actual tools and capabilities, this is a breakthrough and enormously useful method. It allows us to objectively obtain information unavailable through other means, and thus develop our knowledge about the world in objective conditions, and as a result, also about ourselves. The end. Jakub Kubanigalski, The Star Embassy. If you like our work, please subscribe to stay in tune. Give the video a thumbs up and leave an inspiring comment.